You're watching TVC Breakfast. Now the federal government is set to subsidize CNG vehicle conversion kits by 50% for road transport union members, with a goal to convert 1 million vehicles from PMS to CNG by 2027. The program director of Presidential Initiative on CNG revealed this during a Northern Stakeholders engagement in Kaduna. Lupe Asom reports.
The Presidential Committee on Compressed Natural Gas, led by Programs Director Michael Oluwagbemi, engaged key stakeholders from the Northern Region's transport sector. These discussions are a crucial step in promoting the federal government's initiative to phase out petrol-powered vehicles in favor of CNG-powered alternatives. The committee highlighted benefits such as reduced emissions and lower fuel costs. Mr. Michael Oluwagbemi outlined the federal government's plan to subsidize CNG vehicle conversion kits.
We have about 20,000 kits that we are making, over 20,000 kits that we're making available immediately. We're launching what we call the Conversion Incentive Program with members of the NURTW, RITIAN, and NATO being our immediate focus. Of course, these are operators in the road transport sector and provide about 90% of the transportation in Nigeria today to members of the public. And we are making kits available to them at 50% discount, and we are also ensuring that the installation cost is free. So we are negotiating already with our partners. 8 of those partners are going to initiate that program in the next week. We've already identified those 8 conversion centers in 4 states. That will be the pilot states. And then in immediately thereafter, in 2 weeks, 3 weeks thereafter, we start expanding it to the other conversion centers that we've identified. And we have over 120 of them across the country.
Governor Obasanjo of Kaduna State emphasized the need for cleaner and more affordable energy options.
Deem it necessary to actively support and participate in the federal government initiative, which we believe is a giant stride in the right direction in order to address a major climatic and economic factor in our transport sectors.
The stakeholders supported the initiative, acknowledging its potential long-term environmental and economic benefits.
It's much cheaper than conventional liquid fuels. In fact, the price is about 230 naira per kilogram. Petrol costs about 690, 3 times. And for that reason, this is very economical, but we need to do it properly.
As the discussions continue, the Presidential Committee on CNG remains committed to providing the necessary support and resources to ensure the successful implementation of this initiative. Lupe Asom, TVC News, Kaduna.
Joining us in the studio is former manager, public and government affairs at Mobil Oil Nigeria PLC. He's also the CEO, chronicler and associate, Akin Fatunke. Good to see you. Good morning to you.
Always good to see you, Ibrahim. And nice to be here, Olamide. Good morning, Nigerians.
Right. So I remember having this conversation with someone last week, somewhere in the market, and he was saying that what exactly is the government doing? We see you on TV, and they say they'll do CNG and all of that. It's not even anywhere. But now that we are having the government saying, yes, this is what we are putting on the ground, having a pilot test and also helping the people, especially the transport workers, with 50% conversion, enablement. How do you receive this news?
Better late than never, Ibrahim. I must always say, which one comes first? Chicken or egg? Doesn't matter. If at the end of the day, we are beginning to move in the right direction compared to negative integration, I received it quite positively. There are challenges. There will be challenges. I have seen a lot of initiatives in this country in the past 20, close to 30 years, whether in transport sector, oil and gas sector, health, whether in education, great on paper. But the graveyard of most of them is implementation. Say what we say we are going to do what we say we are going to do, measure what we say we are going to measure. And I think, in my honest opinion, perhaps this should have happened yesterday. Okay, no. Day before yesterday. It didn't happen. It didn't happen yesterday. Prior to May 29, on the whole issue of subsidy is gone, and we're talking about palliatives here and there, and we got into some kind of panic mode, and we know how we got ditched, where we didn't get it right, where we needed to rethink. This particular one, I think, in my opinion, is going to the heart of the matter. It should go deeper. It should drill deeper, and there should be controls, there should be assessments. 100 billion, the last time I had, around December of 2023, that was released by Central Bank to the Federal Ministry of Finance for disbursements to go into these 4 pilot areas: Lagos, the Federal Capital Territory, River States, and then, of course, Kwara. And with 120 other sites to go in for it. But you know, Ibrahim, what pleases me most is the stakeholder engagement. I am happy that thinking is becoming to be a forte in some of the things we do. We can do more. National Union of Road Transport owners, NATO being stakeholders, being put into this. They are going to be on the roads. They will control about 90% of movement. I think that is very well, and I overheard the SAR also talking about employees, you know, National Association of Road Employees. Is that not sending the signal, therefore, that take it, leave it, labor is also, and should also be a part of this, so that it should not just be CNG 1 year, taking 1 year later. So I am pleased with it. But like I said, there are challenges, okay? And those challenges are challenges that can be faced. Those are challenges that should be looked at. More of the stakeholders. I'm happy with what I heard from the governor of Kwara State. I'm happy with what I thought I heard from the governor of River State. I know they were there. I know they were also, some time ago, they were in Ibadan, what some of the governors are saying. So it should go beyond, yes, I say, but I do, I supplement, I complement, and I make sure that I'm able to deliver this dividend to the vast majority of Nigerians, coming a little bit slow, coming a little bit late, but coming on all the same. That's right.
And this is a part of our journey towards cleaner energy and alternative energy. But let's talk about the viability of this option. We had the Naseni boss a few days ago saying that the center in Abuja can convert about 15 cars in about 2 hours. And that would be 2,700 per month. So it's expected that if we have these stations across the country, by the end of the year, every car in Nigeria is possibly going to be using gas. But how viable is this option, looking at our current situation?
Olamide, economists talk about ceteris paribus, all things being equal. Things are never equal, especially in management of men, money, and people. People is men, okay. Material and logistics. You have just driven beautifully into some of the logistics aspects to this, and we must begin to tell ourselves the truth. Communication is very, very important. It's one thing for us to come and say we could do this, like the 15 that you mentioned, but there are inherent challenges. This, well, first on the positive side, I am also happy that local content, slow but not too bad, you know, Innocence, North are coming into the picture and are looking at it from the perspective of government giving those incentives. those incentives, if perception says very good, perhaps not adequate, because you need to now attract more private sector involvement. We must not forget that the kits come very heavy, besetted by forex challenge and availability, competing for different ends, not helped by devaluation. It's clearly import dependent. So even if we get one or two that says they can do conversion in some time, I conservatively as an accountant always want to say, well, I take it with a pinch of salt if you have not been able to resolve some of these logistics issues. And there's also the issue of funding. They come very pricey. I'm happy that we are talking about 20,000, and now, what about the distribution? Yeah, usually, when it comes to issue of, I'm now having to intervene. Issue of favoritism might come into
exactly.
it.
Exactly that. Sorry to now put in. That's where I'm going. How do you think? Because now they said government has procured 20,000 conversion kits that will soon be deployed. So if you look at Nigeria as a 2020 data, we have more than almost 12 million vehicles. As of today, we'll have more than 15 million. I don't have the figure entirely, but if we could have 11.6 million there in 2020. So do you not feel that this, how far-reaching do you consider this in the first place, and the transparency in selection of vehicles, people to benefit from this scheme?
It's almost invariable that I will want to favor you than I favor Olamide.
Why should that be? Why should that be? Because this is
maybe because I don't like women. I'm saying that just trying to create some fun out of it. So my judgment, I'm favoring you because you are nearer to me. I'm favoring you because you're a man. When I know that Olamide has the capacity as a woman to do more for my environment. So she asked me, but why? I said, well, that's all I have. In the first place, don't let us forget that this is a pilot initiative. Yes, like I said, the issues surrounding, corruption will always be there. We are all, and we should not say they are not there. So what therefore needs to be done is to do mass production, mass local assemblage. One of the things that I will therefore be looking out for the Ministry of Industry, Ministry of Finance, Mr. President himself in his quests for bringing in technology, can we begin to find a way like we did back in the day with Volkswagen assemblage to try and see how we can begin to assemble, go beyond that, and start to retool our Ajaokuta, the machine tool industry, so that our people can continue to acquire the knowledge, the know-how, and the SMEs. Clearly, as a communicator, I do not believe that I should give that kind of a butterfly kind of hope to so many people, and then they begin to use it against me. Yes, I can go slowly. Yes, I'm already too late. No, I can go a bit much more slowly. Can I now begin to now then say, okay, if I ought to have started last year, and I'm starting now, Ibrahim, what is the expectation for a manager, for management? How do you begin to measure me? And then how I'm able to get to the stakeholders. How I'm able to also look at the issue of financing. Can we make financing easy and affordable? 50%. Again, I put my hands together for that initiative. It's coming at a cost. Can we now find a way to make it and expand it? I also must also clap that the federal government is looking at making directives, giving directives to MDs, ministries, departments to convert. I also hear some of the state governors, Abdul Kadir of Kwara and Ubasoni in Kaduna are also saying, yeah, there should be a complement. Nigeria is run by 3 tiers. We must never forget that. And we should not continue to run it as a unitary government. So enabling environment is what I believe, fair and square, that the government should do. And then the states can then pick it up. Hopefully, the local governments too will now have a buy-in in there so that eyes are not always trained at the commander-in-chief. If something goes wrong in Lokoja or something goes wrong in Kuala Lumpur, something goes wrong in Abakaliki. So when you put all this together, I would rather say I will be very conservative to believe that we are on the right spot. We need to expand this. We need to allow the vast majority of our population to see what we are talking about, and labor, almighty labor, to see. Clean energy, Olamide, you said, savings of 25 million of money we should have spent, plug that back into education, perhaps plug that back into health, plug that back into agri, look at our security, architecture. It's going to go a long way. I will say, good news, great news. I'll begin to really clap when I see that all stakeholders come together and see that our quest for the near difficult, not impossible, for the near difficult in terms of getting a good wage system, a living wage. I'm not talking about minimum wage. That's someone that, should now become a very good incentive. So you get a minimum wage, and then you can begin to now use CNG buses as public servants. We can expand that. And we can then do the other linkages for coastal areas that you can do water transportation, as we see in Lagos, for rail, intermodal, and begin to see how regionally we can do interconnection and do intermodal. We begin to now help. Beyond it all, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that if we do it well and do it effectively, we will be resolving a large chunk of food security, helping to help tame food inflation in the country.
That's right.
And while we know that the federal government will cover a certain percentage, you also mentioned the cost involved. But then we might need the help of private investors, like they have mentioned. We are at a time where multinationals are leaving Nigeria. That is to be considered if it's any option. What are the hopes for investment to ensure that this form of compressed gas can be utilized in the long run? That's one. And what are the safety concerns for the users? We've mentioned the role of the National Orientation Agency as regards educating Nigerians. It was pretty hard moving Nigerians from the manual vehicle to the auto vehicle. And now we are moving again from fuel to compressed natural gas. What is the place of the National Orientation Agency, and what are the safety concerns? That's about 3 questions in one.
3 questions in one. Let me just say yes. Let me take the low-hanging fruit. Communication, very key. And you communicate, people understand, people are able to ask you questions, people are able to follow up. It will also mean that family units, ward units, mosques, churches, NGOs, while that goes on, markets, segments, our educational institutions, can we begin to find a way to introduce some of these things into curriculum, like we are learning? Yes, natural gas could be safe. Now, you also hit a particular one. And having been in the oil and gas industry, I can tell you free that I saw misuse, I saw a deliberate not wanting to adhere to, the process and procedures, and I've seen people blown into smithereens. I mean, people in oil and gas will tell you that. So we want to say that some of our learnings, we call it OIMS, Operations Integrity Management Systems, right. They are out there. Our learnings should be such that we begin to educate people. Don't get the cylinder in your trunk, and then you still want to find a way to hoard, PMS fuels, and want to put it in there. Maintain road safety issues. Don't overspeed. You should not do certain things. I also know that the other management of change. Asked, yeah. We must look at that.
The other leg of the question that she asked. Could you quickly respond to that? As we call it a wrap because of our time.
Okay. The other.
You answered everything. You satisfied?
No, he has not answered anything. We talked about the hope for investment.
Very quickly.
Very quickly. The only way we can do that is governance. The only way we can do that is by setting good examples. The only way we can do that is by making sure that environment is friendly. And I heard you talking about multinationals voting with their legs, changing their operational method. Well, some may go, some will come in, and when they come in, we must try and see that on a sustainably long term, we take care of security. So many things coming into it.
That's a very key one that you've mentioned. And
very, 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 very important. And we must therefore make sure that for us to be able to get to our next destination with 4 tires, we must always have an extra. If you don't have an extra, you're not going to get it.
That's a very good one. Quite idiomatic, quite straight to the point, and it's just they say that the little we say to the Omoluabi,
yes,
so to speak,
it's getting there, and then it will germinate. But we are all involved in this, and I think it's a good initiative. We should.
That's right.
We should get them on. We should get the local content in. We should get our governance and rule of law, and we must make women their voices not only to be heard but to be seen at the table.
It's good that you ended with that, because that's addressing the fact that you said you didn't like women. But then I understand now. Former manager, public and government affairs at Mobile Oil PLC, CEO, chronicler and associate Akin Fatunke. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thanks for having me, Nigerians.
Right. This